Well, good morning, I'm Penny and welcome to my YouTube channel. Good morning. Today I thought we would talk about RAW versus JPEG. There's loads of videos on YouTube, some are very technical and some are quite opinionated. Like everything, they're both there for different reasons, and if you use them at the correct time, they will be the right thing to use. But let's set up a picture and let's talk through when you would use RAW or when you would use JPEG and the pluses and minuses of either one. Right, hello. So as I said earlier, we're going to compare RAW with JPEG. Yeah, I've set up a picture here with the Hawthorne. Look, it's lovely behind me. And I have set my camera to be able to take RAW and JPEG. So on my Canon camera, that is, it would say in the menu, it says RAW and L, which is the standard thing, which would come up on my computer as JPEG. And so it's going to take the picture, exactly the same picture in both forms, and I will show it to you in Lightroom because that's what I use, and we'll talk about the difference in Lightroom. But at the moment I'm just enjoying the sun on my back. It's really lovely, especially with at the moment I feel like I've been in the house for weeks, which actually I've only been in the house for 3 days, so I've got nothing to complain about. It's nice being out at the moment, so here we go. Shift and 5, and that is how apparently you record what you're doing on your Mac. Let's have a look. Oh, we're recording. Okay, so we've been out and I've taken pictures in RAW and JPEG, and I've picked a picture that I want to show you in RAW and JPEG. I'm only going to bother showing you one of the Hawthorne. It's actually of a bee on the Hawthorne. So yeah, let's see how this goes. Let's start this up. So we are bringing up the RAW one first, and I'm doing this in Photoshop instead of Lightroom because actually when I looked at it I found out that it was a lot easier to show you in Photoshop. So if you bring up a RAW file in Photoshop, it comes up with this screen, which is a bit like Lightroom, where you can change all the contrasts and highlights and shadows, just like in the basic part of Lightroom. So that's where I would do that now, but for comparison's sake I'm going to ignore that and just open up image. So that's probably what I would not do normally. So this is the RAW file, and now I'm going to go back to the house symbol and bring up my JPEG one. So this picture comes straight up into Photoshop, and it was taken at exactly the same time, so I had my camera set to RAW and JPEG. I don't know what situations you would use that in except for this video, because if you know what you need, then you wouldn't be clogging up your computer with both images, other than maybe if you're going on a holiday and it's predominantly maybe family holiday and you might be doing just JPEGs of the family, but you don't know if you're going to take a random beautiful landscape that you might want to do some work on. But anyway, so first thing we're going to do is we are going to zoom in. So this is the JPEG, we'll zoom in on the B because that's what's important, and then if I flick back to the RAW and we'll zoom in just as much on the RAW. Now you'll notice with this is the RAW one, the detail, so nothing's been done, the detail in the B, you can see the hairs and all that on its legs and abdomen, and good detail. If I just flick that to the JPEG, and you can see that you can't see so much fine detail in there. So that, I suppose, is the main difference between RAW and JPEG, is that what happens is RAW, the camera captures the information, everything that's there, and holds all the information, and that's why you end up with a very large file compared to the size of file you would get with a JPEG. And the reason RAW does that is so you can edit it later and make the picture look like what you want it to look like, where JPEG there's not much room for maneuver, that the camera puts all the settings, a little bit of saturation, sharpening and everything for you in camera, and then throws away the information that it doesn't want. So that's why the file is smaller, it compresses it and throws away what it doesn't want, where RAW keeps everything. So on the face of it, RAW looks like the better one, but as I said earlier in the video, it's using the right format for what you want to do. So RAW holds all the information, you've got a larger file, but if we compare the two, so this is the RAW one, if I go back to screen size, it looks quite dull and flat, and if I flick onto the JPEG, it instantly is brighter, the bluers are bluer, it's got more saturation, and it looks nicer out of camera. So if you are not going to edit or do anything to your pictures, then why are you shooting RAW? Because it doesn't look as good RAW until you do something, and that is the point. So if I say we're onto the RAW one, and let's focus back up on this B, and I want to change the highlights or bring out the shadows or anything like that, I can. So if I go here, I have got, oh, we've gone the wrong way, here we go. We can bring out loads and loads of shadow down here, obviously it's way overexposed here now, and there's still detail there to find, and that is the point of RAW. So if I do the same with my JPEG, and let's get nice and close and bring up this and do the same thing, It's not too bad actually, but yes, you don't get as much. You can see on the B especially that it's just losing detail. There's no detail in the shadows, so you don't have much room to maneuver. So I don't know how good this has been, but to sum up, RAW you take if you are going to work on your pictures later on, and if you're going to turn them into a print of some sort, or if you're working for someone, then shoot in RAW. So when I work for people or doing portraits or weddings or the small amount of commercial I do, I always shoot in RAW. One, because that means I can do anything they ask me what they want me to do to the picture. If I make a bit of a mistake, I have actually got something to back me up. Obviously, you know that's not the attitude. But JPEG, if I go on holiday with my family, I use JPEG, because I don't know about you, but I am constantly fighting for memory space and where to store my pictures and stuff like that. So JPEG doesn't take up as much memory. I don't have to do any work on them, so I've taken a picture of my family and it is there ready to be shown. And I don't know if you're anything like me, I will take lots of pictures of my family on holiday, and I certainly don't want to go through editing them all as well as working and editing all them. That's not a pleasure. So JPEG is for when you're not going to do any work on them, you want to come out of the camera just right, just perfect. And RAW is when you're going to put your own style to the photo and you have more creative movement. But be warned, RAW is a bigger file size and eventually will fill up your storage, and you will have to have a better workflow with RAW. So neither one is better than the other. They are two separate things, and use them in the correct manner. It will all go well. So that's my sum up. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please comment, please like, and please share. That would be amazing. I hope that you found this helpful. Till next time. Bye for now.